I'll give it fairly straight to you, a few straight questions. Under the programme for government, and you spoke about that in the Department of Transport, there is a commitment that Ireland would make an application to Europe for TNT funding for the west of Ireland or the Western Arc. Nothing has been done on that. I want just a straight question and a straight answer. Why hasn't there something been done on that? FOIs have been sent to you for a file and what's in it, and it seems to be very reluctant to getting information out of it. Second question. I note from what you said the funding priority for the interurban rail network under the National Development Plan is to protect investment already made in our national railway system by funding maintenance and safety projects needed to maintain safety and service levels in railway operations. If we are to move to this wonderland world that I hear everybody on about, of moving towards electric in our from Dublin to Cork and Dublin to Belfast and Dublin to Galway and Dublin to Westport, in seeking to Northern Ireland, it will cost $3 billion. Is that money there? First of all. Second of all, as been asked earlier on, and I don't want you to box out of this because I'm about 6 months trying to get to the root of it. There is a rail corridor going from Limerick to Galway. There is talk about a review from Athenry, Tuam, Fitzmaurice. The NTA were in. They said, oh, no. We cover across the east side of the country. There was two different groups in here that I was trying to nail down once and for all to get a straight answer. There's an alleged rail review going on at the moment. Going by the statement that you have said there, would you agree that where the priority is lying in funding, that you have no intention, from what I am reading here, to open that? Because the statement is very clear. Second of all, you don't appear to have any funding for putting, and in talking to Barry Kinney, and I've spoken in detail about that, the likes of Longford and Athlone, if you were to put the high-speed trains that we talk about in Europe, and we need to make sure we're not talking about apples and oranges. The Netherlands is the size of Munster, and it is 3.5 times the people, so it's more economical to put trains around it. So we need to make sure we don't get carried away in some of those places. Ireland is more remote, and I understand that fully. But we need to nail down, will the Western Rail Corridor be either done or not done? And I'm waiting for about 2 years to get an answer on this. In the line of buses, would you agree that the Euro 6 bus is the same as gas at the moment in emissions? And that the biodiesel buses, have you done research on it? My understanding that there's a company in England that put 20% of their buses on electric, and after 3 years they are getting rid of the lot of them because the batteries are giving ferocious trouble. Are we going to jump into the sea and not be able to swim when we go down that road of spending a lot of money? Has it been researched fully, and is it workable? In the line of your transport policy for Galway, I don't think the west of Ireland matters to you, to be honest about it, for the simple reason there is nowhere to lose. The only thing that's in Galway, and it's like Nancy Griffith's song From a Distance, is that next week we're going to on board Planola for the outer bypass, and we'll probably go around the world and back again with people objecting, and in probably 7 or 8 years' times after a heap of court cases, we might get it sometime, but Galway is chronic. I come to Dublin. I live 40 miles from Galway. You might know it because you probably don't live down there. I live 40 miles from Galway, and I'm 112 or 18 miles from Dublin, and I can be here in the Dáil quicker than I can go to the County Council building in Galway. Isn't that a fierce damnation on a Department of Transport? That a city like Galway, that has brought the biggest companies to it, that has real infrastructure gone into it, and that we haven't a network that can handle what's going into it. We are losing jobs in Galway, in case you didn't know, in Galway City, unfortunately, even in things growing. And that's not criticising the government, by the way. It's not, it's because of infrastructure. We have a Western, and Senator Hopkins would be at it as well, we meet the business people in the west of Ireland every year. We have companies in Westport that will tell us that 20% of their goods are damaged when it gets to Dublin, because the road from Westport to Mullingar, it's a disaster for them, for transport. You talked about the amount of goods going on the roads, and at the same time, there are parts of this country at the moment on the expressway bus service that they have, and this is a time now that we're talking about getting people into buses, not into cars, that we have cut the services in a lot of the small towns. Bear in mind, we're talking about trying to get people on buses. And at the same time, we have rail problems in haulage of the rail, because the lines, obviously, and has to prioritise passengers. The rural, you talked about the Hackney, and you're saying you're sort of looking into it. Well, I'll tell you why. I've dealt with one of the licences. You go and you apply. Before you apply, you have to go up to the council and spend about 3 months for them to write a letter that there's a need in the area. Then you'll get a lovely letter out that you need a study in your area. This is voluntary, people, and that your community needs it. And you have some community group then that has to try and formulate a study to prove that you need someone and you have no one in an area. And that's the reason why, because people are sick to the teeth of the paperwork side of it. That's, like, I can answer that for you because I've handled that. And we done a study, going back the years, and then they tell you, that's out of date now, how are you going now? Even though that there is absolutely no mode of public transport or private transport in an area, but you still have to go and get a community group without funding, they don't get funding for that, to do a complete analysis of the area to why you need someone to bring a few people home from a pub. And that's telling you. In the line of, this is a question. I was talking to a guy last night that is a new bus bought. Under the rural transport scheme, it is now compulsory that you have to have it wheelchair accessible. That's good, and I agree with that. But if you want to bring tourists from America, from Kerry to Donegal, and you buy a new bus, on the length of the bus, you don't have to have it wheelchair accessible, by the way, that's not written into this. It's on the length of the bus that you get the VAT back or not get it back. But if you're in a rural part of the country under the rural transport scheme and you put it in at 6,000, it's costing 6,000, because this guy bought a new bus and it's 6,000 per person for each side. You can put it in 2 sides and it's costing 6,000 to make it wheelchair accessible. That's 12,000 to be able to accommodate for 2 people, and you won't get the VAT back. Now, if we're trying to incentivise people to buy the proper bus in rural parts, to give local transport for it, why are we driving them away when at the same time, depends on the length of your bus, if there's a fair big bumper in it, you'll get the VAT back, but you won't get anything back if you buy, you know it yourself, in rural areas in the local link transport, it's a smaller bus, around 18-seater or 20-seater, because you're not going to bring a 53-seater down a bog road. And there's no, even though they have to go through all the expense. And it's probably costing you more because there's no incentive there. It's costing the NTA more because there's no incentive there. On the road network, you talked about 100,000 kilometres, I think, in the country. Well, Galway has a 20th of that. Why is County Galway, per kilometre of road, less funded and we've had some of your department officials in, less funded than any other, than 99% of them in the rest of the country. And if you want to talk about property tax, I'll go down that. They were getting 12.5 from the central government, 12.5 million. They collected 14.5 in property tax, so they give back $1.5 million extra on that. And in the vision of, you talk about Cork Mallow, is there any vision to put what I would call a proper road from Mullingar? I know you're going to talk about Colooney, I know you're going to talk about Terman Barry, and them are bits. But is there any vision that we will put a proper road from Mullingar? Now, when I call a proper road, is a dual carriageway minimum to Westport, and from the Tuam motorway, which is an exceptionally good job, and it's connected us now all the way down to when Cork Mallow is done to be a fine facility. But from there up to Letterkenny. Because if you look at the areas, including Sligo, we don't have a proper bus service in Galway or in all of them towns or cities. They're going to be made cities out, in fairness to the 2040 thing. We don't have any plans whatsoever for a Lewis or a tram system in them. I know that you talk about park and ride, and I think it's a great idea, but seeing it, I'll believe in it when it happens. But where is the vision going forward? And I think the first start of that vision is in the first question I asked you. The TNT funding, and I know the ifs and the percentages and all of that. I'm not asking that. It's written in the programme for government, 2.5 years into it. Why hasn't that been put in for the Western Arc or the west of Ireland, going up to the north of Ireland?